What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. How's it going? I'm Bing Wang with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan has confirmed its first family cluster of the BA.5 subvariant of COVID-19. Health authorities say 2 family members of a factory worker from Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan were infected. The 5-year-old and 10-year-old boys are Taiwan's first child BA.5 patients. 14 other people at the factory have been infected with COVID as well, and tests are being done to see if they have the same variant. Taiwan's Pandemic Response Task Force is warning that BA.5 infections could increase. The first shipment of medicine to treat monkeypox has arrived in Taiwan. The Centers for Disease Control says 500 courses of the antiviral drug arrived on Wednesday. It can be used to treat several types of pox viruses, including monkeypox. Taiwan is reserving the medication for people who've developed severe infections and for high-risk patients. The CDC says they will buy more if necessary. So far, Taiwan has confirmed 2 cases of monkeypox, both imported from outside Taiwan. Police have arrested nearly 500 suspects and seized more than 100 firearms as part of a crackdown on organized crime launched earlier this month. A spate of shootings in central and southern parts of the country prompted officials to tackle gang-related violence. But as Rick Lauer reports, organized crime's relationship with Taiwan society and politics runs deep.
A witness recording of a woman being dragged kicking and screaming into a vehicle. She was later trafficked overseas. Police have now apprehended the father and son team behind this, in a crackdown launched earlier this month that has seen 450 people arrested across 68 criminal organizations.
相关的查会、自爆、查选举的赌盘等等相关的，包括打诈、诉枪，我们会有一系列的行动。
120 firearms have already been seized. Execution-style killings in mid-July rocked the country and prompted leaders to promise to tackle gun violence.
这支手枪来源多半是靠走私哦，价格也昂贵。那像是一把短枪，至少要20到30万元。但改造枪支，它凭着原本的玩具操作枪跟模拟枪来改，从最少的2万块起跳到5万元不等。
Among those arrested in the crackdown, this man, accused of working as a bodyguard for leaders of the Bamboo Union, a known criminal organization linked to pro-China groups.
出示印有某特定政党主席之友会会长头衔的名片，并表明系某特定政党及竹联帮身份，恐吓被害人
Organized crime in Taiwan often spills over into local politics.
Some of the politicians, they are directly or indirectly related to those organized crime. Sounds like maybe they are ex-gang member. So those politicians, they can use their influence in the parliament or the local Congress to influence those policy or influence to the police department.
The government has set up a separate task force to tackle election-related violence and bribery ahead of local polls in November. Organised crime may be entrenched in Taiwan's society and politics and often go unnoticed, but the uptick in gun violence this month left many people here feeling uneasy. The recent police crackdown may not be enough to assuage those fears. Karma Xu and Rick Lauert in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A Japanese delegation is in Taiwan as the 2 countries work to deepen their political ties. But cultural relations between Taiwan and Japan have long run deep. Our reporter Louise Watt traveled to a part of the capital, Taipei, that is still reminiscent of Taiwan's Japanese past.
A slice of Japan, here in northern Taipei. The neighborhood of Beito has many reminders of Taiwan's past as a Japanese colony, including hot springs, developed by Japan around the turn of the 20th century. 68-year-old Hong Zheming was born after Taiwan came under China's control at the end of the Second World War, but he still remembers the Japanese influence on his life.
我们从小我的爸爸、我的妈妈，他就是读日本的学校嘛，就受日本教育啊。像我们这一代就有 接触到啊，家里也是有讲日文啊。
Today, buildings from the 50-year Japanese period and this restored Japanese train station attract visitors to Beito. There are other places like this across Taiwan that show its cultural ties with Japan run deep. Political ties were put on a closer track after Shinzo Abe became Japanese Prime Minister in 2012. Abe took a stronger stance on China than his predecessor. This sat well with Taiwan, long facing pressure from China, which won't recognise its sovereignty and claims it as part of its territory. After he stepped down as Prime Minister, Abe became more vocal in his support for Taiwan and said any attack on the island would present a serious threat to Japan. The fear in Tokyo is that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could be followed by another on Japanese-administered islands also claimed by China, or on Japan's Okinawa Islands. Now it appears Japanese support for Taiwan is continuing under Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. A delegation is visiting Taiwan this week, which includes 2 former defense ministers.
Because of their background, their positions in the previous cabinet, it really symbolized an important upgrade of the interaction between official interaction between Taiwan and Japan.
A Japanese defense white paper last week said Taiwan is an extremely important partner for Japan, sharing the same fundamental values such as freedom and democracy. The stability of the situation surrounding Taiwan is also critical for Japan's security and must be closely monitored with a sense of urgency. This follows a warning from Kishida in May on a trip to London that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait must be maintained.
ウクライナは明日の東アジアかもしれない。
Beijing responded by saying Japan is just finding excuses for its own military expansion. Back in Beito, Hong isn't concerned about the geopolitics of it all, but if war comes, he hopes Taiwan's friends step up, regardless of their reasons.
他是比较偏重自己的利益嘛。台湾如果被大陆拿走了，会影响到台湾海峡整个航道，它都会受影响。
For Hong and many other Taiwanese, the visit of the Japanese delegation is another sign of friendship between the 2 countries. And there are hopes that the cultural and fledgling diplomatic ties will turn into military ones too. Damon Lin and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The Taiwan Railways Labor Union is threatening to disrupt train service during several major travel days in the coming months. The union says workers won't do any overtime work during the Mid-Autumn Festival in September and on National Day in October. They say they may also stage a full strike during local elections in November. This follows a breakdown in labor talks. The Taiwan Railways Administration and the union were unable to agree on salaries and benefits as the government agency transitions to a state-owned company. The union is asking the company to allocate $200 million for employee welfare. Taiwan's first comic expo in 2 years kicked off on Thursday.
你今天钱有带够吗？
当然带很多啊，大概1万多以上啊。
The 5-day event normally attracts over 100,000 people, but an estimated 70,000 fans showed up on the first day alone. The 2022 comic exhibition runs through the weekend with over 100 companies taking part, including 2 major Japanese animation companies. Since 2018, Taiwan's comic and gaming industries have grown to over $2.3 billion in value. Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we'll leave you with images of a swarm of jellyfish along Israel's coast. I'm Wang. Good night and have an even better tomorrow.